What is going on YouTube? Lord Zhang Fei bringing you episode 4 of the Diablo 1 Hero Challenge, the Warrior of Scosglen. Always wanted to see a Rabies Druid pull off an Uber Tristram. So we're going to go ahead and try that this time around. Again, using only the items from Diablo 1. Let's just get right into it and check these items out. Alright, first item is going to be Schaefers Hammer. These items couldn't be different from each other based on one single stat. The Diablo 1 version has a negative 100% damage stat. Totally makes this item useless on any kind of melee character. With some nice bonuses though that did make it over to Diablo 2 as well. Plus 50 hit points, plus lightning resist 75%. That is a pretty nice buff. In Diablo 2 they just went crazy with this item. 20% chance to cast static field, 20% increased attack speed. It's got huge bonus to maximum damage and attack rating. And the only issue with this whole item is that it can't be ethereal. If this item could be ethereal, it would definitely be a top contending zeal weapon. I use it quite frankly pretty often for the static field. Really solid weapon. Next up is going to be the Veil of Steel. We did already use this in one run. There are only 3 unique helms though, so we are going to have to kind of use them once or twice in these this whole mini series. 50 roll res, 15 strength, 15 vitality, minus to light radius. It's spitting image of itself from Diablo 1. It is definitely a very solid helm, especially if you are starved for resistance. Not a bad find in single player, that is for sure. The Gladiator Bane is going to be next. Diablo 1, a very lackluster armor here. Basically only use it for the armor class of 25. It does have minus 2 damage from enemies. That is not that big of a deal though. And the minus 3 to all attributes is just a slap in the face to really let you know this item is not that great. Diablo 2, they did a pretty good job of buffing it if you ask me. It can get up to 20 on both magic and damage reduction. That's actually pretty helpful. Especially if you're doing like a low HP build or you don't just flat out don't have a lot of life. 30% faster hit recovery, nice poison length reduction, pretty decent defense. But the one thing that I like the most about it is it cannot be frozen. Certainly opens up a socket if you're using a Chan. Not a bad armor in Diablo 2. The BlackOak Shield. In Diablo 1, as you can see, 10 to dexterity, minus 10 to vitality, minus the light radius, insane durability. Pretty much took all of those stats, put them into Diablo 2. Gave it some super awesome cold absorb, making it one of the most overpowered shields or items in the game if you ask me. If you really manipulate your resistance like we're going to do in this game, being totally immune and healing from cold can be exploited pretty heavily. You will see. Again, huge bonus to dexterity, huge bonus to life, 50% faster block rate, even casts the weaken curse, which can go for or against you if you are a melee character relying on lifetap. But as what we're using it for, it is a very good curse. Helps out quite a lot. And we are going to be using the same amulet that we have used the entire series here, the Ruby Amulet. 40 to fire resist. I just can't go wrong with that. That is for sure. And for the rings, we do have the Garnet Ring of the Tiger. 25% fire resist, 27 hit points. Not too bad, I guess. And then the Garnet Ring, 25% fire. Gotta really make up the fire resistance on this build. Those are the items. Let's go ahead and check this run out. Alright, go ahead and open us a game. Want to say I appreciate all you guys sticking around. Had to take a leap of absence for about 3 months. I've been inactive. Ended up moving. Had to take care of all that stuff. But we're back and we're doing some weird runs here. You're probably thinking I thought this was a Rabies run, and it is. We're going to respec. But for now, we are a Wind Druid. And what we are doing is we are going to kill anyone that is not a cold mage. Because we're going to be using the cold absorb on BlackOak in order to stay alive. So I do speed things up in this video. I typically never speed my runs up, but I'm just going to be real honest with you guys. This run is absolutely brutal. It takes a very long time to kill Baal specifically and to get everything set up. Unfortunately, with Rabies, life tap does not work. There's no life leech, and the only way you're going to be beating it with Rabies is if you have an alternate way to heal, and we are going to be using the BlackOak Shield to do that with the Cold Absorb. So we're just going to keep on fighting, keep on getting as many frozen mages as we can. It does take a couple minutes. It was a very stressful build. At first I thought, oh, his Druid's going to be easy. You know, Fury Druid beats Uber Tristram easily all the time. And what I came to realize is that there are no weapons that made it over into Diablo 2 from Diablo 1 that have a good base attack speed, severely hindering any kind of shape-shifting build. Obviously, you can't use elements. It's just not strong enough. Cold can't kill Baal. So this was the only way that I really saw this feasible, was a Rabies Druid. And plus, I've always kind of wanted to see a Rabies Druid do it. We're going to go ahead and swap over to a open wounds belt. Of course, like I said, we are a Fury against Mephisto. Mephisto's 100% immune to poison. We're not using any charged items, so can't cast lower resist on him. Don't have a Merc. There's only one real way to beat Mephisto, and that's with Fury, so we are going to use Fury against him. Attack rating was a huge disaster in this build. Found it kind of hard to get the correct amount of attack rating to pull all this off with what gear we had. Those magic rings really hurt us. A couple Raven Frosts and I'd be good to go. But as you can see, we are stacking up the synergies to Rabies, maxing out Fury, and let's go ahead and get right in there. Oh, Mephisto's at the doorstep. I thought this was a really cool idea, using BlackOak Shield like this. We did it with the Sorcerer run, but with the Druid, you really just see it shining in its entirety here. Again, this is with no life tap, no life leech. The only way we're healing is from absorbing cold. But if you really do what I just did with all the minions, I mean, our life is barely going down. I wouldn't be surprised if you could beat this with under 300 life, probably pretty easily. Of course, killing them with under 300 life and getting all these mages would be kind of tricky. But either way, Fury Druid, kicking ass, taking names. Our attack speed, again, is just really, really, really bad. So it is going to take a little bit longer than it normally would, say if you had a rib cracker or something. But look at all those ice bolts behind me. I mean, each one's healing me 50 to 60 hit points. It's just unmatched. I mean, this is ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and do this strategy to kill all of them. Now, like I said earlier in the video, Baal is a total pain in the ass. At first I thought maybe I wasn't even going to be able to kill him, just because I was running into never-ending fights. I think the first time I beat it, it took over 45 minutes just to kill Baal. I was constantly running back to town because I'm running out of mana. I mean, Rabies is not that great against him because he resists so much of it. I think he's at 75% resist, and I think with our gear, we have a couple facets in there. I think we take him down to 60% with our minus poison resistance from the facets. But even at 60% resist, he is really not taking too much of that damage. But it is enough in the end. Mephisto is really putting up a nice fight here. We don't have too much crushing blow, and honestly, the attack speed is what's really just killing it. I think we're at 45% crushing blow. We got a burr in our Schaefers Hammer, and of course we're using Goblin Toe. 1 down, 3 to go. I just think it's really funny looking, seeing all these bolts hit me, and just my health bar doesn't even go down more than a couple hit points. Again, I'm gonna speed this up. Don't want you guys to be here forever. What I found was really necessary was to just come unload a couple belts full of mana pots in the corner here where we're gonna take Baal. His, Rabies takes a decent amount of mana with his mana burn skill that he has. It really just sucks, and one belt is definitely not enough. I do swap out my gloves here too, I think. A couple charms. We do get the Trangools. Gonna help with some of that poison damage. We were using Hellmouth against Mephisto for that fire absorb. Swap out some AR charms. They're all attack rating charms. Like I said, attack rating was just a pain in the ass. Gotta make sure we hit every time because we're not doing that great of damage. Swap out for the items with the poison facets as well. Go and get in there and let's snag Baal and take him to the corner of death. Except death takes like 20 minutes. I'm not kidding when I say I thought maybe I would be able to do it with the Druid. I thought for sure Druid would be pretty easy. This Diablo 1 challenge certainly threw me through the ringer. A lot of the things that I take for granted on items that I use all the time, board gear, certain rings and amulets that I just always use. Really using magic rings and amulets had its challenges for sure. And this is how this fight's gonna go. I also speed this up a few times just because I don't want you guys to be here forever. It kind of looks like things are going pretty smooth at first, and that is because of the static field. I really like Schaefers Hammer. It's just such a bummer that it can't be ethereal because it's indestructible. I really think an ethereal Schaefers Hammer would have been an awesome endgame weapon. This sounds really crazy in my ear. All those bolts going off, and looks like we run into a little hiccup here. What we're doing is we're getting Baal minions trapped in the building. Get Baal over here. There are so many dudes spawned right now. Baal regen, pretty decent chunk of life. That static field should be able to take him down though. Those meteors help out a little bit. Actually, I take that back. I think he's fully immune to fire without any conviction. See, I'm so used to playing with conviction and lower resist that you take all that away, which is what this challenge was. And man, it is a whole different ballgame down here. But with the will, there's always a way. This fight is absolutely long and ridiculous now that I'm rewatching it here. When you're in the action, it doesn't feel that long because I was really pumped up to try to beat him. This was the last one that I did, was the Druid. So the whole project was kind of relying on the Druid. I was real surprised. I didn't want to do the Amazon last this time. I did the Amazon last for the Uber set challenge with Navinas. And oh my goodness, that was absolutely nerve-wracking because it was so hard. I had a feeling that the Amazon was going to be equally as hard for this challenge, and of course it was. But it was like, oh, I'll leave the Druid last. It should be pretty easy. That definitely was not the case at all. Hoping these mana pots last. That's what I'm thinking right about now. I have never tried to beat Ubers with Rabies before. There's probably some good reasons why. It is not that great. Given their resistance, the no life tap, the no life leech, the sustainability of it does not go very far unless you do some kind of totally cracked out run where you're doing what I'm doing. But I will say that ever since I started kind of doing this, where I'm killing certain minions and leaving certain minions in Uber Tristram, I have really found that, practically anything's possible at this point. Once you can realize that you can absorb your way to healing, You know, I'm confident there's builds that I never thought possible to beat it that could, you know? Like this Rabies build. On paper, it makes absolutely no sense, but when you can kind of form the Uber Tristram level to your own needs and desires, it just is endless. Looks like that's not going to be enough mana pots. Such a brutal fight. Part of me wanted just to redo it, and then I thought, hell no, this was horrible. Somehow a 25-minute run was my fastest run of like 3 or 4 attempts that I actually won. Because the problem with doing these videos is, you know, I've beaten them with these builds plenty of times that I've played with while I'm making the videos. But if it's not a run that's really solid, where all three bosses die in a decent time frame, I don't die, to get a run where it's real smooth as ice with some of this ridiculous gear we're using is just really hard. So we kept this run. It's whatever. Baal's gonna die soon, I promise. There you go. There's the last Rabies, I believe. Injecting him. Say goodnight. There you have it. That was no fun. So, now we're left in a predicament. We don't have that many guys left. We really don't. We're going to switch to Hellmouth because there's not as many cold guys as I want. Get a little fire absorb off those Venom Lords. I'm sure they're going to be surrounding me ridiculously. Plus, there's quite a few fire guys left over from Baal's summon. Seems like a pretty good mash of dudes here. Go ahead and lead the horde. My mobile healing potions come down. Go ahead and get Diablo over here, and we're just going to lay into him and hope for the best. I mean, look how slow that attack is. It was just bad. God awful. Luckily, Diablo goes down much faster than Baal. I mean, it's still not fast, don't get me wrong here, but much faster than Baal. And those Venom Lords, they're not hitting me with that physical attack. They're basically just super healing me with that fire. Everything is totally grand. Lost my wolf though. That's how long this game took. I lost my click on Diablo. That's a disaster. There's always something can go wrong. The problem is that I'm on Rabies and I can't kill the Pit Lords because they're immune. There we go. Back on big Diablo here. I rate Rabies Druids a 2 out of 10 for Uber Tristram players here. But with a will, there is a way. I really love that about this game. I'm always finding that whatever you want to try, there's always going to be some way that it can be done. I mean, a level 1 probably couldn't kill Uber Tristram, but you guys know what I mean. What makes this game so great? And I promise you these next runs are not going to be as long and boring as this one was. The Amazon run is kind of long actually, but it's not as ridiculous as this. I mean, because with this, there's like no way I can die. Yeah, that's an interesting concept with these runs though, with BlackOak Shield, you know. Might do a segment where I make the most budget early ladder classes, and do all the classes to beat Uber Tristram with just gear you could actually probably find or trade for early ladder. I mean, I'm confident if you put a BlackOak Shield and then a 6-socketed phase blade on a Fury Druid with some Goblin Toes, you'd probably be able to kind of do something like this too, and that could cost you a couple of P-gems. I mean, people throw BlackOak Shield in the trash. It's a good shield. one of the best ways to absorb in this game. I really like it. Very underlooked item. Alright, Diablo, come on, just die, buddy. Laying into me with that lightning hose, not doing shit. Eating the poison for breakfast. Come on, man. Finally dies. Switch over to Fury to clean it up just a little bit. And there you have it. Rabies Druid defeats Uber Tristram, of course. Fury on Mephisto. Go ahead and clean these guys up though. Check out this torch. It's probably going to be trash. Normally with these fights that are ridiculously long, luck never seems to be on my side. And it's only ever on my side on a failed video where I'm just cleaning up the mess. I've gotten like 4 or 5 2020 torches where no one even saw it because it was in a failed video. Here's the gear though. I already showed you guys earlier, but I'm just like showing the gear again after the run. Magic rings, Uber Tristram, never again. That open wound belt helped us out a ton. And of course these Grant charms. And all this juicy attack rating, those 336s, I really love those charms. Damn, Wolf Druid is so slow. There's the skills. Pretty self-explanatory. Just remember though, when I first did this, I was a Wind Druid, and I was using Cold with Twister to kind of make my own enemies here for Uber Tristram. But that's the run. Appreciate you guys for sticking around if you made it this far. And a 14-10, what do you know? I'm not surprised. But I will check you guys out on the next video. I got some really cool ones coming up at the end of this series. I know you're going to like them. The Paladin one is absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait to show you guys. Take it easy.